Good evening and welcome to The Square. Tonight is a very interesting conversation as not only part of Women's Day that just happened last week, but also International Women's Month. Tonight we are going to hear from trailblazers. We are going to look at women who have challenged stereotypes that limit their progression, whether it's gender stereotypes, societal stereotypes, or cultural stereotypes. We're going to look at women who are breaking barriers specifically in the fields of media and sports. And I'm really honored to have with us some, like I said earlier on, trailblazers in this field. And we have with us in studio, many of you know her, Salima Mukansanga, who is an international football referee. Salima, welcome to The Square.
Thank you so much.
Great. Also joining us virtually, she could not be in studio because I know she's busy somewhere on this part of the continent doing what she does best as sports commentary. We're joined by Usher Komujisha, who is a multimedia sports journalist. Usher, it's really, really great to have you on The Square tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Great. My name's Denan PC, host of The Square. As always, I'm joined by The Square resident panelists, and we have with us tonight Charles Haba. Charles, great to have you on the show tonight.
I'm here, Dana. How are you?
Good. I see tonight we are matching in
Yeah, you made a very close attempt to that. It's got straight A's.
I know. Usually we're also joined by Brenda Namata, a resident panelist on the show. Unfortunately, she's not with us, but I know she'll be sharing her thoughts on our social media feed later on. And to our viewers, please get your tweets ready, your questions, your comments ready. We'll be reading them later on in the show. As we always do on The Square, before we deep dive into the conversation of the night, we have a midweek highlight, just highlighting things that have happened in the week so far. Charles, is there anything you'd like to share before we kick off?
It's quite a few, but one particular one that I think I would like to point out is a visit by Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Whether he visited in his capacity as a first son or as the chairman of the land forces, or presidential advisor on security affairs, I think that's secondary. I think what's most important is a lot of effort geared towards normalizing the Uganda-Rwanda relations, a lot of effort geared towards ensuring that, even though we may not be as best of friends as we were years ago, but there's always a political will and a drive toward ensuring that we remain friends and relatives. Something that you're not going to take away overnight. So I think a step in the right direction. The move towards giving him cows is extremely to be applauded by the leadership of the country, President Paul Kagame. It's unprecedented. It's amazing. He's a pacifier. He means well, and puts his actions where his mouth is. And I think let's wait and watch the future. Yeah.
I know, and this is a topic that we've discussed several times on The Square, normalizing relations specifically between Rwanda and Uganda. So I think a lot of people, we're all positively anticipating much more. So thank you very much to our guest, Salima, for joining us. Personally, I'm starstruck sitting right next to you. I'm a big fan, and I'm sure many others. It's really an honor to have you on The Square. Usher, we've met before, and I'm glad you could take time out of your busy schedule to join us on the show tonight. And it's really a great moment to just look and sit and hear personally testimony from you as women who are really breaking barriers in certain fields. And Salima, I'll kick off with you. The first question is to you. And you have been referred to as a sports personality that has has strengthened Rwanda's position on the map. You were the first female referee at the Africa Cup of Nations ever that took place 2021, Africa Cup of Nations. And you're broken into a club that's historically exclusively known for men. As a female referee. And I think it also inspires gender narratives across, not only in Rwanda, but across Africa, especially for young girls who are watching or aspiring to do what you do, and also women in general, especially in the sports field. So my question to you is really simple. We are here to learn and listen. It's just to ask you if you could share with us, where and when did this journey of yours begin, and what are some of the challenges you have faced to be where you are today?
Thank you so much. My story is long, but
we have some time for it, yes.
Okay. It started at young age, let me say at young age, back home. My dad in Rusizi, we call it Rusizi. Nowadays is they call Kamembe, Rusizi. Before it was Changugu.
Yes, yes.
He was vice president of the team in Premier League. Let me say Premier League nowadays. It was a Simba FC before, and then the camp should be taken at home, and then players, staff, they have to be lodged home, and then we face the player, we talk, and then on the training you have to go with them, they are training. On the games you have to go and watch the game. So I like football in that way. So for me it was something I like. Mostly when we went to watch the game, so they have to reserve for us the place, and then we watch the game. But most of the time we went to watch the game, my dad's team is beaten.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was only 3 people. They were in black suit. Let me say suit. I mean uniform for referee, and they call them referee. Most of the time, when they are officiating our game, we are beaten. And then I keep asking myself, what those people they are doing? Every time my dad's team is beaten, and when you are beaten, we are coming home, and then no one is happy. And then things change, nobody's talking happily, then the situation was not good. And then I keep asking, what those people they are doing? Why they can't even change somehow? And then my dad's team, then we win, and then we get, my family is happy, and then player they're happy. And then I keep asking this question. So those 3 people, always when I think about football, they are coming into my head and asking myself, what are they doing? And then people say they are the referee, they have laws they are following, and then that's why. So if the laws is correct, applied, then you can win or not win, things like that. Then I get excited to know who they are. So the story starts from that moment.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I was playing basketball at primary school.
I know you're really passionate about basketball.
Yes, and I have big dream to go far from even Africa, but it doesn't make it. Yeah, but the moment I've been selected among 20 players to be participate, and then they're going. It was a pre-selection for under 17 to represent Rwanda in under 17. So among 20, I was inside, but at the final selection, I was out. I was in senior 5, senior 5. Yeah, when I was in the holidays back home, I went to the sector. The sector was calling Kamembe. Right now it's calling Kamembe. And then there was a communique in charge of sport. He came, say, people want to be referees, so this is the opportunity. You can even apply, and then the requirement is this and this. When I look on the requirement, I was not inside because they obliged age, and then to finish secondary school, I was in senior 5. Then I said, oh my God, these things is not easy for me. Let me try. And then I push him. Then I said, let me try. Maybe I want to know what those people they are doing. So I applied, and then they accept. The time they say you have to come to Kigali for attending the course for 1 week. The time I reached Kigali, I've been talking to my parents. I always ask about referees, even if I'm still a player in basketball, so give me a chance to go to Kigali to attend the course. They give me a chance, and I went to Kigali, I attend the course, arrive, they said no. Oh, really, it's you? But no. Go back home, so wait for 2 years or 1 year, you come back. High school. Yes, because now even if you will finish the course, you will not officiate because you are still in secondary school, and then I was studying in a sister's school. So you can't even go out. So they say, no, go back home. Then I say, no, please. I'm coming far. Changugu is very far. And then look, my parents, they expect me to come back being a referee because that's the dream I was telling about them. So please give me a chance, and then maybe, okay, if I finish my school, secondary school, so I will come back, but let me go back home being a referee. And then they say, no, you have to wait, you know, even the age, things like that. But finally they accept. Then I sit in the course and then I do my best. And then among the five that have performed well, I was inside.
Wow.
Then,
so you're the top 5 that's...
Yeah, so I become referee by paper. I go back home and then I forget a bit. So that I'm going to concentrate with school.
Yes.
Yeah. So that time for the appointment of the best under 17 players for basketball, I didn't make it. And then they say, no, wait for 2 years. I was 15 years old. Then say, wait for 2 years, maybe you're going to make it. And I say, oh, imagine 2 years and then to wait until then. I say, no. If this is fail, let me go for something else I've been starting. So it was 2 things to choose. Then I forget about basketball, the dreams about basketball. I forget it, then I follow football. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. The time I reached in senior 6, I was almost about to finish. Then I said, let me make all I can to make. I have to make to finish my secondary school, then to start the career I've been starting. But I keep watching games. If I got chance to watch game, I watch game, and I keep telling myself, this referee inside the field of play, it's me.
Oh.
So that we keep the career within the experience, because I don't have field, but I can even keep learning from what I see. Yeah. The time I finished my secondary school, then it was a moment for me to go and then start. Because I say, these things, it might be good, because I really want to know this. And then I didn't be appointed for 1 year because I was at secondary school. I start myself going to the field where there is veteran. On Sunday and Saturday, they are playing, and then I say, I have whistle, I have even flag, so please give me chance. I don't want money, please give me chance. And then they accept, you know, they want referees to officiate their games. Yes. You know, they're playing 1 hour, 1 hour. So for me, it was a very good moment to start. Then I start to officiate. No money, nothing, no ticket, but what I wanted is the experience. And then from that moment, I make a lot of mistakes. Because this was the beginning.
This was a learning experience.
Yes, a lot of mistake. From 1 week, I know I made this mistake. I'm going and I learn again how to correct those mistakes. And then I'll keep watching games so that if I will start be appointed by FA, so I'm gonna be in a good level. So this is how I started. I started inside. I wanted to be a referee. But that time, it was very easy for a woman to be a referee.
Oh,
yes,
really?
Because we were always dominated by men, so we're supposed to be assistant referee. And they say, if you want to go up quickly, you will be an assistant referee. At that time, when I started be appointed in 30 division by FA, it was men playing, but it was like chaos, let me say chaos, because they used to beat referees.
Oh, wow.
So they told me, you're going to be beaten.
Like physically beaten?
Yes.
Okay.
If the game is finished, they start to where the referee are, so they're creating problem with the referees. Say, no, we didn't make it, but because of the referee. So I say, oh my God, so even these things gonna be difficult for me. I don't know where to go. So let me keep it simple, go to the flag, being an assistant referee. Then if things change, I'm gonna have my whistle. But when I go back home, I officiate and those veterans as a referee. But to the FA, I start being an assistant referee. On my first game...
What do you mean by FA?
FA, it's FEGWAFA, I mean
Football Association.
Football Association, okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah, on my first game, it was at malaria that field, you know, malaria. Then after the game, I was an assistant referee. After the game, they ran toward the referee and the assistant referee. It was, I was a second assistant referee. So they ran to the referee. It was a problem, a lot of problems. And then when they come to me and say, oh, she's even a lady. Let her, she can't even do nothing. Let her. And then they left me there. Yeah. Then I say, I finished the career, so I can't continue like this. Today I'm not beaten, maybe tomorrow they're going to beat me. And I was very, very young. And then I say, look at me, myself, so if they beat me, it's finished. I didn't sleep that night. And then I was asking myself, I didn't make it in basketball. Even here, I wanted to be a referee. They say being an assistant referee is going to be good for you. And now I see even they are beating referee and assistant referee. So my life about football, I think, is finished here. In the morning, I went to the FA. I'm in Fegwafa. I spoke to someone who was in charge of a referee. Then I said, they didn't beat me. But I think one day they will beat me. But let me try. And then that man was very nice. He said, yes, you have to try. Even those who are beaten, maybe once it's finished, we see them in top division or maybe in, keep try, do your best, do the correct things. So they will never beat you. So it gave me the word of encouragement. So for that time, I keep working, and I've never been beaten until I go to second division. I don't think you will be. Yes. Yeah, until there's second division, and then I go up into nowadays I'm in Premier League. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. I wish we had. I wish we had like 3 hours for this specific show, but we don't. But Salima, thank you very much. We'll definitely be coming back to you, especially with looking at how you navigated some of these challenges. But what I take from you is really you looked inside yourself. You didn't rely on someone to give it to you. You put it in your head, this is what I want to be. You put it into your head that this is how I'm going to train myself with veterans, or local games. You put it into your head that even though it's challenging, especially looking at the violence that referees face after games, you still said, I'm still going to pursue it, and I'm still going to persist. So I think that's incredibly inspiring, especially for people who are looking or listening at you, listening right now, looking at your journey. I want us to just go to Usher Komujisha. I know she's with us online, and Usher, if you're there with us, if you could have her on the screens, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, Diana.
Great, great. So Usher, yes, you're an awards-winning sports journalist and analyst, and your commentary at the inaugural Basketball Africa League last year, you commanded, the attention of basketball lovers in the 215 countries that the BAL was broadcasted to last year, and amongst your many achievements, the most recent one a lot of people can think of, including myself, is the BAL, and just really, really amazing commentary. And you've done this across different sports fields, whether it's basketball, whether it's soccer. You're really, really versatile, and that is not only rare in a sports journalist of any kind, but specifically a female sports journalist. So Usher, if you could just also share with us your experience from when you began to where you are today, and any challenges you faced. Over to you, Usher.
First of all, if this was an exam, I would fail it, because I'm going to first say something about Salima. I remember her about 7 years ago, training at Amahoro Stadium and doing an incredible job of just trying to do her best and work out physically to get, some fitness. And, just in January, when she officiated that game between Zimbabwe and Guinea at the AFCON in Cameroon, I could not believe my eyes. I was absolutely proud of her. Still I am. And Salima, really, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you, because I've seen you at least for 7 years, and I know it's been a long journey. But Dan, I'm going to ask your question. Look, right from my childhood, if I think about how I was raised, I can say that I was raised to be a journalist, but not in a very outright way that our generation, for example, you'd be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, and you know this from when you're 7 years. But when I look back at how I was raised, it's small details like, for example, I used to spend a lot of time reading an atlas because I want to know what are the capital cities of each country in the world. I would spend a lot of time reading the dictionary because I want to know what's the origin of a word, how do you pronounce this word, what does it mean, and how can you use it in different formats. So this is kind of like information that is away from what you're taught in class. But then talking about class, I honestly fought so hard from when I was in kindergarten, primary school, to be the best in my class. So in that sense, I'm not trying to say I want to be the best female student in class. I just want to be the best person in class. And all of that has really, transformed into my career as a journalist. And if I think about, the small details, like pay attention to detail, start every sentence, with a capital letter, end it with a full stop. If it's a question, it's a question mark. Just small details like that have really shaped my career as a journalist. And I can say that there's something that we used to do when we were kids. Obviously now the internet age has changed so many things. You can go on Apple Music and you have lyrics of a song that you're looking for. But back in the day, I'm sure all of you can relate. We didn't have lyrics on a phone. That's if you even had a phone. So I remember I used to get like a cassette and have a tape and place it in there and try to listen to the lyrics of a new song and then write them down like one line after the other. And so I'll go to school with this book and make sure that I share it with my friends. And in this way, I would, let's say, have the lyrics of this song as the first one to give it to them. So I found a lot of pride in sharing information as the first person to get it with my friends. But as you can see, it's lyrics of a song. But also it could be, maybe I learned that the capital city of, X, Y, and Z country is, this. So I'm sharing it with them, and they're saying, oh, really? We didn't know Antananarivo, where is that? It's in Madagascar, that's the capital. Or what's the capital city of Cote d'Ivoire? It's Yamoussoukro, it's not Abidjan. So just small things like that defined what I was doing early on in my life. But then also it's important to understand that I played sport right from when I was a child. And I remember, walking on a golf course, just trying to see how do people play golf, what is it about this game. I honestly a little bit got bored because I was a child and I started to do the ball games. So playing volleyball, playing netball. I later, did a lot of track and field, did cycling. And in high school, I switched to basketball. It was the cool game to play. And also as a basketball player, there's so many things that you learn from the game that can help you in life. And this is, things like if you lose the ball, you have to come back and play defense. And that's a virtue that you can use in your life. So the basketball shaped who I was. And later on, I met someone who told me that they believed that I had a great voice. And I said, look, I know where you're going with this, but I've never thought about being a journalist, so let's not go there. But the person insisted, invited me to a radio show. I went in, listened. It had the best sports journalists. I listened to what they were talking about. I was playing in the league at the time. I said I could share, results with you, and you can obviously say them out on your radio show. And he said, no, you should think about doing analysis. I thought about it, started to do it, started writing also, got an opportunity where the International Sports Press Association, the AIPS, was looking for young reporters from across the world. This is 2011. And they wanted 2 from each continent. So a boy and a girl, or male and female. And in Africa, I was selected by, alongside a Senegalese girl called Sene Diakonda, and we went to the World University Games in 2011. Now, at that point, we were being taught how to study and how to be journalists. So what can you tell about a story that is unique? For example, Reg have beaten US Monastir of Tunisia in the BAL. But that's not the story. The story is, what can we say motivated this team? What does the victory say about the Rwandan spirit of victory? So when you understand that and explain to the world that after the victory, for example, Intsinzi Vanabutgranda was played, like how can you contextualize that to the world of people who don't even know where Rwanda is? So just, things like that helped me to grow as a journalist. And at that program, the AIPS president, Gianni Merlo, thought that I was the best, or at least one of the best performing young reporters at the World University Games, and gave me an opportunity to cover the London 2012 Olympics. And for me, that was it. That was the springboard that I needed to take my career to the next level. I went, interviewed my icons, Serena Williams, Kobe Bryant, may his soul rest in peace, LeBron James, I don't know, anyone you can think about. And for me, that was the point. I said, I want to be an international sports journalist, and I will do whatever it takes to get to the next level. And also, just to conclude on that, in 2011, I was offered a scholarship by the University of Jamaica to run for them. And I said, I don't think I can take the opportunity to do that because I've chosen to be a journalist. Now, because I didn't take that, I said, maybe I can level it out as a journalist and go to the international level, because who knows, maybe I could have gone to the Olympics.
Wow. Usher, incredible hearing from you. You know, one thing, and Charles, I'm sure you have a lot to say just listening to these women. One thing that for me that really stands out is the self-motivation both you, Usher, and Salima have displayed in your personal, you know, stories of getting where you are. You really looked inward, and you also, you know, utilized your surroundings to better your skill sets or your talent. But what really strikes me and what really inspires me is the self-motivation, the non-stop self-motivation. It's really hard to self-motivate. Most of us as humans expect a pat on the back, expect a compliment, and you know, most of us give up when there's no one, you know, rewarding you. So your self-motivation for me personally, Usher and Salima, is incredible. And yeah, looking forward to hearing more from both of you. Over to you, Charles.
Obviously, as you may appreciate, I've been involved in sports administration for decades, and I resonate a lot with what Salma and Usher say. Two particular things stand out for me is when I listen to you, Salma's very moving story. It tells me how women have to do a lot more to make it than men. We live in a very male-dominated world. And when she was telling her story, I thought she was going to get to a point that when they came to attack her, she went back home and went to karate classes and to learn self-defense moves. You listen to Usher and her story about running for Jamaica and what have you. You can see that Usher is really trying to tell you that she had to learn capital cities of all the countries to be able to stand out and know just general knowledge. Whereas,
from a young age.
Yes. And I may be stoned at the end of this show. Maybe her male counterparts, all they need to know is the cars that federation chiefs or club chiefs drive in this country, and go on radio and shout about that and forget about the actual sport itself. And the fact that maybe she's able to comfortably talk about from golf to swimming to cricket to rugby to football and basketball and what have you, it just says a lot about what women have to do to make it. But I also want to say, I think there is a huge opportunity around the gift that women have in general about paying attention to detail. You know, men, the way we are, it's in our DNA that you'll just let it pass, and it's okay to let it pass. You know, if you are a master of just one particular trade, and you know that particular trade, you can easily get away with it. Whereas for a woman, you have, even if it is that one thing that you know, you have to pay a lot of detail to that particular thing. And Salma talks about her basketball, and I can assume when I see her running on the football pitch, she must have been an extremely talented basketballer. So I think those are the two particular things that I think that stand out to me. That the attention to detail and the fact that women have to do a little bit more. It's to me, it's an opportunity that, because you have to do a little bit more, your chances of succeeding are much higher than that of your male counterpart.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, spot on, Charles, with that. It's almost like women have to try double or triple compared to their male counterparts, especially in these fields that we're talking about tonight, sports and media. My next question is just really to understand both of you, Salima and Usher. You know, your viewpoint on this particular month. We are celebrating International Women's Month. It's also a month where we celebrate achievements of women, but also highlight the challenges that still exist when it comes to gender equity, gender equality between women and men, girls and boys. And you know, you and Usher are women who've demonstrated that you're committed to breaking stereotypes, especially gender stereotypes that limit, you know, progression. And my question to you is, when you look at International Women's Day, Salima, honestly, like, what do you think of it? What should people focus on, or what should people not focus on? As someone who's, you know, done this for a decade plus, you know, looking at your trajectory and where you are now, when we, you know, we're here in March, when we're celebrating Women's Day as a woman, what are some things that people should start focusing on, really?
Thank you. We are, of course, you have to celebrate Women's Day,
yes.
So every year. But every year it has story, and then there is an achievement.
Yes.
So the achievement is not 100%. Now, from the beginning and then up to now, it means there is an incredible achievement, and then you see there is a difference. There is ladies, let me say women, have been in a good position for now in different discipline, in politics and in whatever. So these moments, we have to celebrate those women, they made step, and then to talk to them, to tell them to support other women behind, because they can't reach alone. So they have to stand on the top, and then they will be there forever, and then no people to succeed them. So they have to stand there and then keep a push for the rest, so that we stand together. So if one woman is succeeding, it means the society is succeeding. So we have to strengthen together, and then so we win together. We still have a lot of challenge we are facing, let me say, into sports, because we don't have equal participation in all sports. Yeah, for example, when you look in football, when people talk about men football, it's something everyone wants to know, or is inspiring to know, and then want to take part. When it comes to women's football, nobody's care about. So I think they really need to promote those people in charge of football, in charge of different discipline. They have to promote women's sports, so that they're gonna be on billboards, so that people, they're gonna understand. Because some people, they don't even understand. They think is the women can play like men, so they can't play like men. They have their own style, which is called football. They can't run like men, but they can play football and run also. So people, they have to understand this. So those people in charge of sports, they have to rise and still empowering women into different discipline. And then another challenge is lack of mentorship. So I've been growing in, I have mentors, let me say it. Honestly, I have them, but they're men. So I don't have someone I can feel and then talk properly and feel comfortable like a woman like me. But I'm really glad because I had mentor. But at the beginning, I was alone. So I don't have anybody to ask. So I have to fight myself. So as I'm growing up in my career, I got mentor. Those mentors, they've been in football. So that is one of the best things. But those other young, so they don't have. So it's up to we to being their role model, to be an example, and then to show them the way, so that at least they're gonna be where we are now. Something else is a lack of facilities. So the facility nowadays, there is no facility, let me say. I remember when I was young, at every 100-meter there is a field of play. Every 200-meter field of play. So nowadays, no.
You know, that's very true. When you look at open spaces for children, young people to play, it's very, very limited.
Yeah. And a field can be dominating by 4 teams, and then they have to train. And then those are called referees, they have to train. And those veterans, they have to train in that field. Like when you look on Stade Regional, it's very congested. Every hour it's congested. So those young sports boys and girls, they don't have time. So nobody could care about them, because they're supposed to have their own academy field where they have to train and then start to be rising, and then people, they pay attention about them. So we don't have those facilities. And lack of means. So you have to fight you alone. Fight from your, if you want to progress, you have to fight alone. Nobody to take care, to give you support. We really want support. Whatever we're men or women, we really want support. You can't reach there because you are hard work and then without any support. A support is very, very important. Through the support, there is a financial, which is a big one. And then there is those feeling, those encouragement, those motivation, which support you. Like, I'm very grateful because I had a big support from Rwandan. They've been supporting me. Those words of motivation, those encouragement words, and I feel I'm not alone. So I have people supporting me. So I have to win because when a team is inside the field of play and then they have a lot of people fans, so they say, oh, it's increased. It increased their strength, their energy to win. So me too, I had support. So support is very, very important. And something else, we don't have leaders, women in sport to lead those young girls. Let me say young girls, because if they saw someone there, so they wanna follow her footsteps. So we don't have them. So even if we have, they are few.
Yeah, few.
So they don't want to take those position and then go demonstrate to those young ladies and prove their experience. We don't have. And the one we have, they don't give them opportunity to come and then sitting on the table with men. Always the table is occupied by men, so we don't have them to be sitting with them and then to share the experience. Yeah.
So representation is extremely important. Representation, especially on those, decision-making aspects. I want to go to Usher, and Usher, it's really the same question with Salima's. As we're looking at a month, it should be all year, but this month specifically is dedicated to recognizing achievements of women globally, but also highlighting some of the existing inequalities that exist. And my question to you, in your particular field, what should the focus be? You behind the microphone, in the newsroom, as a sports journalist, what are some of the big gaps, and what should the focus be on?
Well, it's a very important question, Diana, that you ask, and I'm going to be very controversial in my response. And last year, there's a friend, who tweeted and said, World Pretend Day. Because on this day, everyone is coming out, we're celebrating women, they're doing the graphics, Happy Women's Day, then that's it. After that, everyone just goes back to their normal life and absolutely nothing changes. You ask about what should the focus be. First of all, I'm going to address this to my fellow women and girls to say, do your work, put yourself in a position where you're indispensable. Whether someone comes to you and says, you're a girl, you're a woman, you're black, you're short, you're tall, you're fat, you're too inexperienced, you didn't, you were not born in the city, all those excuses. So you have to put yourself in a position where you know how to do the job, so that even when things go south, the first excuse is, she's a woman. So this is something that as women in this entire empowerment message that we're talking about, some women are hiding behind the quota system. Or we should have 2 women on an executive committee in a national federation. No problem. But what are they doing on that executive committee? Are they actually doing the job that they were hired to do? So these are things we have to be truthful about. If you look at the entire African continent, and I'm just going to go outside of Rwanda. Yes, we're talking about Rwanda, but also on the African continent. When I look at the women in power in these positions, they're working very hard. But there are also some women who are just taking up space. And this, space that they are taking up is actually taking us back. The huge steps that have been made, by the way, on the continent, especially in women in sports, it's very important for us to recognize the men who have also given us these opportunities. And when I say that, Charles, you know, I'm coming to you. Charles played a huge role in my career. He believed in me when he didn't actually have to. And that also was part of a storyline that is very important. Salima talks about the same thing. You know, there's her mentors. And Salima, you know, we were in Cameroon together. I know the two people that literally mentored you at CAF level. They don't owe you anything, but because they believe in you, they think, okay, you know what, let's give her a chance. And these are referees who've been to the FIFA World Cup. And Salima, I know that's where you want to go. And when you sit down and have those conversations with them, they want to help you because they believe in you, not because you're a woman, but because they believe in the ability that you have. Now, that is something that women in sports have to learn from women in other sectors, because you have to fight. And the fight I'm talking about is not a physical fight. You have to think smart. You have to strategize and say, okay, I'm playing on the field. Maybe I don't have an opportunity to represent the country, maybe at the World Cup. It's a little bit tough, you know, the journey to go to the World Cup. But okay, what can I do with my degree? Can I go and study the FIFA Master? Can I go and study a master's in whatever it is? How can I position myself? Can I start by volunteering? You know, just a few minutes ago, I received an email from FIFA saying they're looking for volunteers. You know, can people apply? These are opportunities that are there. Go and volunteer at the FIFA World Cup, meet people from different countries. Rwandans don't need a visa to go to Qatar. You have Rwandair flying direct from Kigali to Doha. It's 5 hours and 50 minutes. Invest in yourself and build who you are as a brand. And those are conversations that we need to have. Other women are doing them in the sectors that they are in. But women in sports, they're not branding themselves. They're still, hiding behind this blanket and saying, we're not being given opportunities. Maybe you're not being given opportunities, but how about you counter that problem and find a solution? It could be in different ways. You have to customize it to yourself, to your social skills, and to who you are as a human being.
Wow. I really, and Usher, you know, when you say that I'm going to say something controversial, yeah, that was controversial. International Women's Day, World Pretend Day, you know, just for one day we pretend and gift women and the next day it's business as usual. But I really liked your point about saying counter the narrative, especially in the field of sports and media, sports journalism or sports. As women, you know, don't hide behind the quota systems and take up unnecessary space. If opportunities are not being granted to you, fight and counter that narrative and make the change that you want to see. You know, notwithstanding the other issues. Charles?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to fight your own war, no one will fight it for you. And I think also, in addition to that, we have to be very deliberate in how we approach some of these things. And I'll give you two examples, practically in the field of sports and women in sports. So historically, and I'll give an example of Rwandan, whether it is football or cricket or some sports have been left behind, they have not yet caught up. So when you have a competition, there's what they call a double header. A double header is basically where you'll have a women's tournament taking place at the same time yes. as a men's tournament. The sports that are more advanced have embraced it. Some have not yet embraced it, and there's a particular reason why it has been embraced and why it has not been embraced, for that matter. The main reason why it has been embraced is because the women, through their professional leagues or through their professional associations, have pushed to say we want to be at that level at the same time. As a sports administrator, we struggle with this so much because the sponsors would come and say, the number of fans that we have at men's games are way bigger than those that we have at women's games. And then you'd find that the women's tournament is a lower tier. So when you're actually even going to seek sponsorship from a corporate, like any telecom or any insurance company or any bank, and you sort of have to change that conversation and say, no, I'm not coming to you only with a men's competition, but I'm also adding a women's competition, and then the value of the sponsorship becomes a lot higher. So some have embraced it, some have not embraced it, but the main reason why it has been embraced has been deliberate because of either the sports administration or the women's structures, or a combination of the two. And that's a conversation that continues, that needs to be had continuously, even at the global stage. It has taken a while, if you're to pick a sport like cricket, for argument's sake, it's been a bit difficult for you to have double headers, and it's a conversation that needs to be had very continuously. The second one is around prize money, and if you're to pick a sport like tennis, and the winner of the US Open in the men's category is going to walk away and be soon drop a figure like $2 million. And you find the winner in the women's category is going to walk away with $800,000.
It's unfair.
Right? Whilst you have the same TV audience, it is a double header. They've already sorted that issue of double header.
Yeah.
You have those volumes of people, billions watching all over the world. They are subjected to the same mental, physical stress and what have you. They will take time off to look after their families, to give birth and to what have you. And when it comes to prize money,
it's a huge discrepancy.
Huge discrepancy. Yeah. I know the ATP, on the ATP tour, especially the WTA tour, that's the Women's Tennis Association, it's being addressed, and it's one of the most vocal things. But that's at the continental stage. What about at the local stage? I mean, in our different, at the FA, for instance, you know, I don't know whether you would earn as much money as who's the Colina of these days. You know, I don't know whether that's the case, but I imagine I won't be too shocked if there's a discrepancy. So and when it comes to prize money, it's still a big national and global debate, and that's something that needs to be addressed. But I want to quickly talk about something Salima said about telling the women's story and being mentors of others, you know. And I'll pick an example of the celebrated female basketball coach, Liz Mills. Liz is a men's basketball coach, and she's celebrated. She's won trophies with different men's teams, the Kenyan team, and, you know, a few other people here and there. And then you ask yourself, okay, Liz, in the next year, and this is at a continental level, how many female basketball coaches do we have? How many has she inspired, even at Rwandan level, East African level, where she's been extremely busy, or at the African level for that matter? And it is those kinds of stories that need to. Salima raised an extremely pertinent point that. Look at that. She looks up to male referees. That shouldn't be the case. Female journalists should be looking up to Usher. I mean, we've had the only lifetime IOC member we have in Rwanda is female, Felice Rwemarika.
Yes, who's been on the show before.
She's been on the show before.
Yes.
She tried to run for Ferwafa. She was blocked at the last minute, even though she was unopposed. Probably somebody sat there in their sitting room and said, there is no way Rwandan football is going to be led by a woman. Right?
Yes.
You know, but people should probably be looking forward to Felice and say, okay, we want to be IOC members. Yeah.
The gender should not be a limitation.
Yes. The only female Guinness Book World Record holder we have in this country is a cricketer, Katia Uwamahoro.
Yes.
Fantastic lady. She's made it up there. Probably, I mean, she holds a world record. I think she should be inspiring somebody from Indonesia or wherever. Have I seen anyone else in Rwanda trying to say, I'll beat Katia's record? Not yet. So I think, just at the risk of repeating myself, Salima raises a very, very pertinent point, that the women who have made it should also have a kind of moral obligation to say, who is that other woman that I can bring up to fill into my shoes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We are now going to go to a Twitter feed, and I would like us to just read a couple of tweets. We have with us on Twitter, and not many tonight. And but you know, with regards to time, I think we'll just kick off with the first tweets. So the first tweet we have, if we could have that on our screens, is Salima's story is so inspirational. Glad to learn about her great passion for sports and football in particular. That's from Kaitare. We also have another tweet coming in, and this tweet is from Theobald, and he says that we went to the same nursing school at the same time. She was very ambitious, combining nursing science with many other things, which is also tough. It was not easy. Salima Radia, we appreciate your effort to show that women are able. I don't know, do you remember him?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. We also have another tweet coming in, if you could have it on our screens, a bit of a very naughty tweet. Well, he says that, he or she says that, good show, Usher Komugisha, do you like politics? Could you do it? Salima, we're waiting for you in Qatar. Good luck. These are some of the tweets so far. And I just want to give a chance to our guests to respond to the tweets if necessary, but most importantly, sorry, we actually have another tweet coming in. I'll just read it very quickly. And this is from Richard, who says, the media tends to ignore women in sports industry, which reinforces invisibility, marginalization, stereotypes, and lack of participation. Not to mention the pay gap vis-a-vis men. Spot on what Richard said, and he talks about the pay gap that you, Charles, pointed out. I find it totally unacceptable, but it is what it is. And I'm glad, like you said, in tennis, it's something that's being addressed. So just very quickly to our guests, and I'll kick off with Usher. Closing remarks, just on, you know, just the conversation we've been having today, as brief as possible.
All right. Thank you so much, first of all, for having us here on the square. It's absolutely amazing. And that's exactly what Richard Roger is saying, talking about, you know, giving women in sports an opportunity to be, you know, heard and to tell the stories. And for me, really, the takeaway is that we have to do this together. And that is exactly what Salima is talking about. We have to work together, women and men, to move this you know, spirit of women getting to the next level. We have to listen and get advice from those who are experts in the job. Be willing to learn and just make sure that you do your very best. Like when you go home to sleep, you've outdone yourself. You're so tired, you just black out. That is, you know, in my head, that's how I'm thinking about it. And just really to give yourself an opportunity to grow and to shine and to dream big, because there's one thing that I always believe in, that if I have a dream and it doesn't scare me, then it's not big enough and I'm not going to waste my time with it. But I have to be able to dream to a level that even when I wake up in the morning, I really can't believe that that is what I'm dreaming about.
Well said, Asha, well said. Thank you very much, Asha Kumujisha there, sports journalist, doing amazing work and really setting the trend for women in sports journalism. Asha, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Great. Salima, just very briefly, closing remarks.
What I want to say, just the words of encouragement for women. So we need to step up out of our comfort zone. So we have to fight for what we want and give what we have to really achieve our dream. Our dream is not what we want to be now. Our dream is our future. And then it might be me or maybe my kids or other young lady, so that they're going to be on the top. And then when I stand up and I say, oh, Salima was there, and then after 5 years, 6 years, there is another Salima there. So this is the big dream everyone has. So we have to really work hard and be an example, a role model to the rest. And then something else, we have to strengthen together, because women, we can't win without men. So I think on my belief, we have to use men to get what we want. Yeah, because this is their field and it has been dominating for a long time. So we have to use them. They have a lot to share with us, and then we double work so that we're gonna reach what we want. And then at the end, we're gonna say, thank you, men. We are reaching there. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Charles, very quickly, closing remarks.
Yeah. Very, very, very quick closing remarks to echo what Asha said. Quota system, these things of 30% do not work. Women...
Or they do not work for the intended period.
Yeah.
They're not sustainable.
Women are bright enough, they're intelligent enough, they have everything it takes to be there on their own and purely on merit. Therefore, any sports administrator who is in whatever position that they are, and irrespective of the sports discipline, for their own good and survival of their respective bodies, they must have women in all the spheres. Administration, refereeing, coaching, the easiest one that everybody is doing is playing, you know, umpiring, whatever it is. Yeah? You need to have women across all, not because you must, but that's how your sport will grow. Yes.
And I like what you just talked about, you know, the quota systems and that sort of thing, especially in the field of sports and sports media. You know, if you're saying we don't need quota systems, women can do it by merit, I believe they can. I just think these are some inherited infrastructures that are there to kind of level the playing ground. But essentially, these leaders in this field should be giving women also equal opportunity. Yes, you know, don't just get a woman because, you know, it's a law, but look at her as a woman who has the potential, who deserves the opportunity to be able to be where she is and make the changes, you know, in these fields. So Salima, thank you very much once again. It's been an honor having you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charles. Always a pleasure to co-host with you.
Mine, yes.
Unfortunately, we missed Brenna tonight, but I know if she was here, it would have been fire. She's very passionate about these things. To our viewers, thank you very much for tuning in. To our viewers who've been sharing their thoughts on social media, please keep the conversation going using hashtag #TheSquareRW. To our partners, Uzi Collections and Bourbon Coffee, thank you for always supporting The Square. Have a good night. See you again next week.